They say podcasts are going to replace books. I don't know about that, but I do think TRS Clips will assist your learning process. Maybe, to describe this kind of larger than life aspect of Kalki, what I'd also like to highlight is lots of modern day scholars consider the Vishnupuran to be a commentary on human evolution. In terms of, if you see the first avatar, it was a fish.
Right.
The second avatar was
Kurma.
a tortoise.
Yeah.
Amphibian.
Yeah.
The third one was a boar.
Yes.
And then progressively, you kept getting slightly more evolved avatars. The
Yes.
fourth one after the boar was Narsimha.
Narsimha was half man and half animal.
Yeah.
And then you have the Vaman, which is sort of the primitive man, the pygmy.
The pygmy, yeah.
Yeah.
And
then you move to Parshuram,
which
who's
is
the jungle dwelling man, forest dwelling man, because he was not living in the society. He had an axe, right? So the tools, primitive tools were getting developed. Then you move to civilization with Ram and Krishna.
With Ram, who's a king in a civilized society.
Yes.
A simple society which believed in God,
Yes.
etc.
Yes.
You have Krishna, who is a king in a overly civilized society where there is also
Yes.
enmity between people, enmity within families, like a more corrupted
Yes,
society.
Yes.
Then I want to ask you this whole Buddha angle. You had mentioned that some scriptures talk about Buddha, some don't. What's the angle there? Because I know that there's a lot of Hindus who consider Buddha to be the ninth avatar. I have nothing to say. I have no opinion here because I haven't read the scriptures enough, honestly. What do the scriptures say about Buddha being a part of Hinduism? And this isn't a Buddhism versus Hinduism battle. I feel we're all one at the end of the day, especially when we talk about Indian cultures.
Yes.
There's no such thing as Buddhism better than Hinduism or Hinduism better than Buddhism. It's just a commentary on knowledge seeking.
Right. I think there are a lot of scriptures that mention, it's not up to you or me to decide whether he was an incarnation or not. It's what the scriptures say. A lot of scriptures do mention Buddha. And, all that I would say is that, please try and research a little. People who say that Buddha was not an incarnation, you can easily find references from scriptures that do mention Buddha. Some people argue that there are 2 or 3 different Buddhas mentioned. But every time they are mentioned as an incarnation.
Okay. What do you mean 2 or 3 different Buddhas?
So there are different timelines, different Buddhas emerged, for different purposes.
Wow.
So some places, some scriptures that they mention that Buddha was born in Gaya. So some people argue that, Buddha was not born in Gaya, so this is not that Buddha. So there are different arguments that people have against Buddha being a part of the list. But there are many scriptures who do consider him in the list. And I feel, instead of finding differences and, creating differences, we should find common ground between the religions.
For example, I got into Buddhism heavily recently, and I've grown up being a very pious Hindu boy, genuinely. But I feel there's a lot to learn from Buddhist teachings, and it is slightly different from Hindu teachings. It's not, it doesn't clash with any Hindu teachings. It just adds some supplemental value.
Right.
For example, just this pursuit of taking over your own mind, being able to control your own mind.
Right.
This concept is spoken about in Hinduism, but it's spoken about so much more in Buddhism. Where there's this famous quote from the Buddha that says that if you learn that a man who learns how to control his mind is greater than one who can win 1,000 battles.
Definitely.
And that's so true. And it's so important for the times that we live in, where we talk about anxiety, overthinking, panic attacks.
Yes.
The angle here is it's your mind and your intelligence working against you.
Right.
It's the same thing as what Sadhguru says, which are teachings of Shiva and all that, but we don't speak about those teachings enough in the modern day. So there's a lot of relevant teachings that I've actually figured from Buddhism.
Yes.
It's sort of higher spiritual studies. Of course, all these things must be present in Hinduism and all that, but 2 angles here. One, not enough texts have been converted from Sanskrit into English.
Or even if they have been converted, people haven't been exposed to them.
Yeah.
That is the issue.
And that's the second one.
Yes. And I'll just highlight one difference between the 2 philosophies is that, in these philosophies like Buddhism and Jainism, asceticism is a virtue, So you can, the highest goal is to leave this world, become an ascetic, Spiritually, advancement needs you to become a hermit or have a hermetic approach towards life. In Hinduism, this was an inclusive concept. I would say, in these philosophies that are considered heterodox philosophies, these are not orthodox philosophies that came up along with Hinduism in ancient India around 500, 600 BC, that, these philosophies, they laid more stress on living a life of seclusion, on controlling your senses. In Hinduism, the focus was on dharma, arth, kam, and moksha. It was not just moksha. It was a holistic life, the varna ashram dharma, which is fourfold division of everything. So you learn in brahmacharya, you learn about the scriptures, you learn the basic concepts, right? In grihastha ashram, you earn money. You enjoy the carnal pleasures of life, your conjugal relationships and everything. In the vanprasth, you learn to detach yourself from everything. And in sannyas is your ascetic life. So in Hinduism, there was a gradual progression towards asceticism. Whereas in these philosophies, it was a sudden movement. The moment you get enlightenment, leave everything and go. That is what Buddha did, right? So,
or the moment you get the inspiration to chase it.
Yeah. So in Hinduism, always it has been a gradual progress. Hinduism never looked down upon sannyasis. So, there's a belief that, these religions are always at loggerheads. There was friction between them historically. There must have been friction because they're different philosophies ultimately, fighting for supremacy. And Vedanta ultimately won, in India because of debates and because of Adi Shankaracharya and a lot of other bhakti movement came into play and all that.
What do you mean one? As in like the masses adopted Hinduism more than...
Yes, the principle. See, for any society to survive, you need a certain population to be involved in economic pursuits, a certain set of population involved in protecting the country. If everybody becomes a sannyasi, how will the society survive, right? So there was a positive way to look at things. And there's no differentiation between the teachings in the sense that, we all talk about your salvation. In Buddhism, salvation means something else. In Hinduism, it means something else. But we are all talking about salvation, right? But in Hindu philosophy, the fourfold division of varna, ashram, dharma, it helped a person experience everything which the world has to offer, get experiences, get the knowledge from the scriptures, from the gurus, as a householder, perform duties. Who will sustain the society if you don't marry? If the society will not continue, right? If you don't perform yajnas, if you don't do temple worship or give dan, so how will these people survive? How will the mendicants survive? Because the sannyasis, they don't earn, right? For sannyasis to survive, there has to be a householder, right? For them to survive. For vanpras, people who have gone to the forest to survive, they have to be, their family to look after their needs. So it's a symbiotic relationship. The varna, ashram, dharma, everybody looked after each other.
And I believe Buddhism kind of spread and grew because of adapting to the countries that it spread to.
Yes.
So in China, it adopted Chinese philosophies as well, mixed it with Buddhism.
Yes.
In Tibet, it adopted Bon philosophies and adapted with Tibet.
Yes.
Same with Japan. Same with Sri Lanka.
Definitely. If you actually see the Buddhism practice in Sri Lanka, is very different from what is practiced in Tibet. So, the Theravada school and the Mahayana school and the Vajrayana school, they're very different in their approach.
Coming back to Kalki again, we spoke about Krishna and how he was a king within a corrupted society. The next evolution of man is the enlightened man, which was Buddha.
Yes.
According to the scriptures.
If you believe in the Dashavatar, again, we're not going back to that controversy whether he was not a part of it. But if you believe in it, it shows that, Buddha mostly talked about following the middle path, which Krishna has also mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, but Buddha highlighted it that, you follow the middle path. In fact, a lot of people don't know that the earliest depictions of Buddha in Indian art are of an emaciated sadhu, because he went to an extreme while doing tapasya. He forgot eating. He was completely turned into a skeleton, while attaining enlightenment. And that's when he started preaching the middle path, that you have to avoid extremes. Don't indulge completely in sensual pleasures. Don't do complete mortification of your body. Follow the middle path, which allows your body to remain, in a healthy state, and you follow whatever religious thoughts you want to follow.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you check out the entire episode and also check out this playlist that we've curated just for you.